Jack in London, it says, do you have a distinction between truth and belief, and that you have things that you know to be true and separately things that you believe to be true? So do you want to tell us your definition of truth and belief first, and we can go from there?
Yeah, hi guys. Yeah, truth is what I normally ascribe to what we experience, and belief is what I ascribe to something that we don't have any evidence for, but have rational arguments for believing them.
Can something be true? Can something be true if you don't experience it?
Yeah, it can be true if you, like, for example, if I don't experience the qualifications of a doctor, right, doesn't mean he's not a doctor, right?
Experience the qualifications. Experience the schooling, you mean?
Yeah, I'm a little confused by your
so
response.
if I don't experience the person's schooling, yeah, that doesn't mean he's not a doctor, right?
Could somebody be a doctor could somebody be a doctor whether or not you experience, I don't know, have an interaction with them or something? Yeah. So I thought
that is what I would call a rational belief, right?
It seemed like you were linking experience to the actual truth of the matter when you first gave your definition of truth. What is your definition of truth? Let's start there.
Something that is definition of truth. I have two definitions as a theist, right? So
you have two definitions for truth,
and there's the one. Yeah, so there's the one that's naturalistic, as in what is known to be true, and what is believed to be true. So I have a distinction. That's what I wanted to ask you.
Your definition of the word true includes the word true? When something...
No, I can look up. I don't have a formal definition. I can look it up, but I don't have a formal definition.
You wanted to talk about the definitions between the distinctions between truth and belief, and you don't know the definition of truth?
I wanted to ask you, what was your... Do you have a distinction between truth and belief?
Yes.
No, so if you want to talk about what I believe, that truth is something you can prove, and belief is something that it's a something that you can hold after you determine that something is true.
I would push back a little bit on that, because I think something could be true even though you can't prove it to be the case.
Yeah.
So my definition of true...
That's true.
My definition of true would be something like that which happens to be the case.
That which happens to be the case.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And how do we know something to be the case? How do we know?
That's a great question.
That's the goal of life, is to figure that out.
You are in the right spot for a question like that, because we love talks like that. We absolutely love it. So a lot of people will go about, let me just answer your question. I know it may have been rhetorical, but a lot of people will go about figuring out the truth in a variety of different ways. Some people will say, I need to experience it. Like, I might think a particular race is lazy, but until I experience it, then I'm not going to take a position on it or something. Maybe that's not the best example. Other people might say, I'll take it on faith that it's true. I can be sure that this is real because I'm taking it on faith that it's the case. So people are arriving at various conclusions and calling it truth. However, it doesn't necessarily mean that it really is true.
So would you regard experience as truth?
I don't think I would. I don't think I would, because I think I can have an experience, if we're on the same definition of an experience. I could probably have an experience and come to a conclusion. Hold on. I can probably have an experience and come to a conclusion that leads me to think something is true when it's not. Do you agree that that's possible?
Yeah. That's possible, but how do we know something is true if we don't experience it?
Well, that's a separate question. So yes, I think something can be true independent of whether or not we are aware that it's the case. But you're asking a wonderful question. How do we figure out, and you're using the word know, and we're not pushing back too much on that, but know, at least in my mind, implies a level of certainty, a level of confidence, perhaps, that you really have the truth.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if we have the truth, then we know it to be true, right?
Well,
This has been real philosophical.
humans think we have the truth, and we could think we have the truth and
No,
not
I mean,
necessarily have the truth.
We can feel like we have the truth
I'm
and
just
not have the truth.
I'm just trying to establish how we. I'm just trying to establish how we ground truth. Is it based on experience? What is it based on?
Well, I don't know that it's necessarily based on anything.
Let me try it this way. Let's pretend that all the humans on Earth disappeared tomorrow. Would the total number of vehicles that exist on this planet fluctuate in any way? Would that number still be the same, independent of people to experience it?
They wouldn't know because they would have to experience it to come to a conclusion, right?
Would it be factually true that the total number of cars on the planet would be the same as it was the instant before all the humans disappeared?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I would, like, again, I said, for me to actually give you an answer on that, I would have to experience the number of cars there are, right? But
there wouldn't be humans around to experience and say, oh yeah, like the number didn't change. So this is sort of a hypothetical that we could probably really never know the answer to with a high degree of certainty. But I think the point here is we're trying to explore whether truth is independent of our personal experience. And
yeah,
I think it's the
truth can be independent of our personal experience, but how do we as humans ground truth if it's not by experience?
Well, I think I'm on board with that. We have to be interacting with the world and running tests and talking to other humans and going to doctors occasionally to make sure that our brains are working good, and then looking around us to see with our senses or in other ways what seems to be the case. That is different than what is the case, which was my definition of truth. That's why I was like, that which happens to be the case or something like that. It's a lot different than what seems to be the case. I don't think humans could actually ever know anything for certain.
No, I mean, we can only know something for certain within our own capabilities, right?
Right. I would agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're not asking for certainty beyond human capabilities.
No, I want to know why you think there's two different kinds of truth.
Natural and something else.
As an atheist, like, I just don't see why there's a problem with believing something to be true. I mean,
because do you want to know why?
Why?
So did you know that I used to be a Catholic?
Yeah, I think you mentioned that. Yeah.
Okay. Do you know why I'm not a Catholic anymore?
Is it because you don't have any evidence for God?
Put succinctly, I guess, yeah. I wanted to look into it. I wanted to find proof. I wanted to know if this was actually true, because I guess at the time, I just defined truth two different ways too, because I wanted actually true instead of just true. But I looked into it and I wanted to hear it from different sources, because if something is really true, you can get it from different places. It doesn't matter that it's coming from this one specific source. You can verify it with other people, there's all kinds of things that you can do. And I figured that if this was the biggest, most important thing on this planet for people, that it wouldn't be so hard to prove that it's true, that I couldn't.
Yeah, I think the problem we're having here is that we're going from believing, because belief is just accepting something to be true without evidence, right?
Not necessarily.
If you're looking for, well, that's the definition.
That might be your definition.
Hold on. Let's just take a step back. Where is all of this going? What's the benefit of this call for people who are watching us hash out these terms of truth and belief and knowledge and confidence?
Yeah, it seems like we're trying to nail down if there can be two different kinds of truth. Is that right, Jack?
Yeah, I think people view truth differently is what I'm trying to say. So I think from an atheist perspective, truth to you would be only what you experience, rather than truth to a believer would be what they experience, and also through rational arguments have true beliefs. That makes sense.
Oh, okay. Well,
Oh,
I can make the distinction that it's true that I believe something is true, but the fact that I believe something is true doesn't mean that that something is true. Are you on board with that?
Okay, yeah, yes, I totally agree with what you're saying, but that doesn't
Cool.
also mean that what they believe is irrational. So the argument for believing
Right.
is not what is true; it's what is rational.
okay. Do you want to know why I think it's irrational?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so if it was true, and if it was the most important fact on the that we worship this God on the planet, then I should be able to verify it somehow,
But
and I
that's not
couldn't.
if. But if God, yeah, I know. But if God doesn't want you, because if God wasn't, if we could verify God, if we could see God, then there wouldn't be any point in us thinking, right? Because what would be the point in
What?
thinking? We could just ask God everything.
No. Can you say that again, please?
If we could, if we could experience God, if we had evidence for God and talk to God directly, there wouldn't be any point in us reflecting or thinking.
So, do you have to have a point
we could just
to reflect or think?
What is the point? Are
Yeah,
you
the whole
saying
reason
that
why
it's better to believe when you can't verify it to be the case?
No, I'm saying that it wouldn't make sense if we had evidence for God in our presence, because there wouldn't be any reason for us to even think, because we would just ask God everything, right?
I see. I think what you're saying is if we came to know that God was factually real, there would be
no wonder. Is that
yeah,
what you're saying?
humans would be lacking. Like humans are actually better because we don't know for sure that God is real.
Life would be meaningless, kind of thing, right?
Reflecting on our life and reflecting and seeking knowledge would be pointless, because we would just be able to ask God for everything.
Oh, okay. But you're assuming, hold on, you're assuming that this revealed God would be willing to engage with us to answer all the questions that we are asking it. I mean, it could just decide that it's fine with us knowing that it's real, but it just doesn't want to intervene or engage with us and just want to see us try to figure things out on our own. You're sort of assuming that this God would be willing to give us all the knowledge after he reveals himself, be willing to give us all the knowledge that we seek.
Yeah, it's a hypothetical. What I'm trying to say is that life wouldn't make sense, right? Because I wouldn't need to think if I could just go to a source and try and get the information from that source.
Wait.
Well,
So I got a question. Hold on. So are you saying that because if there wasn't a God, no, I'm really confused. Why you think that if you had to go to a source, if you could go to a source that could solve all of your problems, and we don't, somehow that proves that there's a source that can solve all of our problems? What do you think a God is? I want to know what do you think a God is?
God is a being that created everything.
Do you think that it's omniscient?
Does it know everything?
I believe so.
Okay. Does it know that I don't believe in it?
Yes.
And does it care?
Yes.
Okay. And what is it going to do about that?
Well, if you reject it, then the person will be punished, right?
No, I asked what it's going to do about that.
This is one hell of a God. Like if
hold on. I want to know what it's going to do about that real quick. I'm sorry.
Okay.
What to do about your rejection?
Yes. What is your God going to do about my disbelief, my lack of belief that I tried to prove and couldn't? And so I said, okay, well, I can't believe that. What is your God going to do about that?
He's going to put people in the hellfire for that.
It's going to put me in hellfire for that?
For rejecting, yes.
So why would I want okay, actually it has nothing to do with whether I want to. I'm derailing this. Anthony.
Well,
Because
I
it has
think
nothing to do with whether I want to believe in it.
so. I don't know if this is actually Jack's position or if he's raising a hypothetical just to explore it, just so we can sort of hash things out. I'm not exactly sure. What would you hope to get from this call? Like, if what would lead you to say, like, at the end of this call, that was really productive, they came around on this, or I now have a better understanding of this? What are you hoping to achieve from this topic? I think it's an interesting topic. I'm just not exactly seeing where it's going, because it seems like it's dependent on now it sounds like it's dependent on a God that's revealed himself, but and is willing to engage with us to tell us everything. But if that happens, then we lose all of our meaning and purpose, and there's no reason to be a human, I suppose. Like, fundamentally, what is the purpose of this line of questioning?
Okay,
What are you
so the
hoping to get
purpose
out
of
of
this line so the purpose of the line of questioning would be that if truth is experienced and what is known, then belief or disbelief becomes irrelevant, hence making atheism void, right? There's no need to call yourself atheist because that deals with a lack of belief. Whereas
Right, because I have a lack of belief.
knowledge. Yeah? So
this is really hard.
or disbelief becomes irrelevant, right? Belief or disbelief becomes irrelevant.
I'm actually struggling to kind of follow the train of thought, honestly.
Yeah, I'm so sorry, Jack.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Sorry,
we're gonna
Jack.
hang up and move on, because the way that I see it is, if there's anything to believe in, then it should not be this hard to figure that out.
Dropping.
So we're gonna go on to.
It's an interesting topic. I love exploring those things.
Absolutely, belief and truth and all that philosophical discussion is
there was
awesome,
there seemed to be a huge leap at the end there that humans suddenly lose all their meaning and purpose if they had assuming that there was an entity that knows everything and it was willing to engage with us and be accessible to answer all of our questions, that that suddenly would be problematic for humans or something. I'm not exactly sure why.
Yeah, I'm really sorry if that was probably completely my fault that it didn't go very well.
No, I thought it was an interesting talk.